Hi everyone, welcome back to Azure Every Day. My name is Brad Gall here with Pragmatic Works, and today we're going to talk about Azure SQL Data Warehouse and whether or not that's the right fit for your data workloads in your organization. Now, we talked to a lot of customers about what platform they should be putting their data in within Azure. So where do we want to put the data? Where do we want to process the data? How do we want to access and report on that data? Lots and lots of options within Azure. And in the SQL space within Azure, there's even a few options. We have Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL Data Warehouse, both are platform as a service. And then we can also just run our SQL on VMs within Azure. There's some reasons why we may want to do that still too. But today we're going to talk about Azure SQL Data Warehouse and what type of workloads it's a good fit for, and maybe what type of workloads it doesn't quite fit very well. To really understand that, the first thing we need to do is understand really what Azure SQL Data Warehouse is behind the scenes. And the best way to describe that is to describe the architecture behind it, which is an MPP architecture. So the architecture is a massively parallel processing architecture. And all that really means is that it takes the data, and it's a big data architecture really behind the scenes is what it is. It's taking it and distributing the data across 60 different distributions. So if we put a table within Azure SQL Data Warehouse, it's going to take that data and split it up across 60 different pieces. And what that allows the architecture to do then is when we run a large query across massive amounts of data, it can take that query and split it up across different nodes and have each node run its part of the query and then respond back up. So it's great at large workloads, great at large queries. What that means though is it's not so great at smaller workloads, smaller databases, and smaller queries that return that crunch through less amount of data. So for instance, if we have a database that's a terabyte or 2 terabytes and we have a star schema around it, great fit for Azure SQL Data Warehouse. There's still some work we need to do to make sure that we get our distribution keys put in, our statistics set up correctly. But with some work around that, you're going to see great performance out of answering some pretty complex queries within Azure SQL Data Warehouse. If, on the other hand, though, we have a database that's about 100 gigabytes or 200 gigabytes, even if it's in that star schema and it's our company data warehouse, chances are we're going to actually see some performance degradation by putting that into Azure SQL Data Warehouse. We just don't have enough of a data workload there to take advantage of the MPP architecture. We're actually taking our data and splitting it up into 2 small chunks, and so it slows down the query times for those. Another thing to consider is whether or not just because we have a large database, does it fit within Azure SQL Data Warehouse still? And the answer to that could possibly be no. So I have seen workloads where we have databases that are up in the 2 terabyte range even backing a website. So it's an OLTP database, highly denormalized, but still very large. That's still not quite going to be, or that's still not going to be a good fit for Azure SQL Data Warehouse because of the small singleton query nature of an OLTP database. Doesn't bode very well for the MPP architecture, where it's going to have to try and split every query up across all 60 of those distributions, and it's actually going to run very slow compared to what you could do with a large IaaS SQL box, for instance. So again, an OLTP database with lots of queries, lots of small tables, not a good fit for Azure SQL Data Warehouse. But as we said, great fit for data warehouse schemas, large tables, large amounts of data. You want to crunch through a lot of data. You're going to see phenomenal speed with this platform, and going to really be able to take advantage of some of the great capabilities we have within Azure, if that's your data workload. So if you have any questions about this, you'd like to talk more about what type of data platform you should be using, maybe review what type of data you have and where it should fit best in Azure, we'd love to talk to you. Click the link down below, and you can get connected with us, and we'd love to have that conversation. So thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.